Hello, my name is Emily, and I'm here today to talk to you about this journal that I have made. It's a Jane Austen themed journal, but it is also a part of my Positivity 2021 quotes for positive statements. And this would be book 16. And for the whole year, I started in January, and this would be book 16. I used a real pretty pinkish, purplish paper pack, scrapbook paper. And then I had found at my thrift store these really cute corners. They were plastic, and you just glue them on. And I used E6000 to glue them on. And then what I've done is I've put this fabric on as a spine, and then I have added some flowers that I've purchased at Wish, and then I've tied them with a wide pink hem tape or piece of lace or a trim, and so that's the information, to start out with on the book. Right here, let me measure. This is 9 inches, and it is by 6.5 inches, and the spine is 3 inches. So it's a pretty typical size. It's got 58 pages and 3 signatures. And I like to make my books so that they don't completely pop open, but this one does sort of want to pop open a little bit without it being tied. But these are pretty flowers from wish.com. They have a little bling on the inside of them, and this is what each one of them looks like. And I use E6000 to get them on there. So this is the 3, like I say, it's 58 pages. So it's over 100 pages. I've just used a lot of things that I have been picked up over the years, and I've tried to stay organized so that I can reuse the materials and not forget that I have them. But this right here, the inside, is a beautiful piece of lace that I have put here, and then I've put a tiny little corner spot so that kind of a corner band, and I've made her silhouette on here. It's cardboard, and it's just a little collage. I've got a garment pin with a button on it, a piece of I think this is called hop sacking fabric that we used to make tea towels for our kitchen with this. But and then just added some things and did some stitching. So I love to sew, so my projects will all have sewing in them. And then these right here are cupcake holders. And so I put 1, 2 here, and I have these as the pockets for the front, which you could take them out and put your own in there, or have a place where you put this book belongs to. But this is a postcard that I cut down, and I order my postcards from Zazzle. And then I take them and either use them as postcards, or I cut them down and use them as tags. And then this is a piece of fabric that had screen printing on it, and it's just an outline or a landscape of a city. And then this is a Pride and Prejudice quote. I've added a few buttons right here. The paper that I have used here is a kind of paper that I'm not really sure how to describe it, because it is I got it at my thrift store, and it's just beautiful paper, and it almost looks like it's obviously not handmade, but it does have some flecks in it, and it is in another language. And so I tried to to go in and have Google translate it for me, and the only thing that it says is paper of the alphabet, and there is no alphabet in here. And then the other thing it said is this Carta Paglia says paper made of straw. So, but it does have a slight mulberry feel, mulberry paper feel, but it also is a little bit sturdier and just has a beautiful flex in it. And they come in all of these different colors. And so I have been using them in some of my books. And then I put here, I've got washi tape and did some hand drawing, and then put a quote. Some of my quotes are actually from the books that Jane Austen wrote, and then some of them are about her life. And this particular one is her brother Henry lived in London, and so throughout Jane's life, she did spend some time in London, and so that's what that is. And then here in this deep pocket is a postcard, and it's a picture of from that period. They say there's the last name of the brothers that actually did the illustrations in Jane's books were Brock, but they were a set of brothers, and they worked together in one office in London. I think it was in London. And and I'll probably have a couple of them, but this is an example of an illustration that would be maybe not this particular illustration here is Brock, is one of the Brock brothers. And this particular, I've been collecting Jane Austen material for well over 20 years. So I've got a lot of books that I have finally taken to allow myself to cut into. And one of the books has pictures of it's called Jane Austen Illustrated Quotations, and it's just by I don't think it has a particular author. It's just illustrated quotations, and it's a lot of colorful pictures and good quality paper, and it does have lots of her quotes in them, plus some interesting illustrations. So for several pages in the book, I have taken and have used pictures from this particular book, and I will have that in the description box below. And if there is an author, I will, let's see what it says here. Drawing together 50 quotations from Jane Austen's letters and novels with vibrant illustrations which illuminate everyday aspects of life in the Georgian era. This beautifully produced volume is the perfect gift for Janeites everywhere. So yeah, I have enjoyed the book, but I finally gave myself permission to cut into it. And what I did when I did cut into it is I did some stamping on it. And this is a letter to Cassandra. And then one of the things I did was I took I have my plastic lace tablecloth, and I lay it on my table outside, and I put a lot of coffee stain, and I just kind of pour it on there, and then, you know, make sure that it have a paintbrush, and I kind of paint it in. And depending on how bright the sun shines, I can really come up with some really neat patterns while they're air drying. This particular picture here is from, I have found it's so valuable if you can go to a used bookstore and find calendars or date books that are you know, older, that the person or whoever donated it, you know, didn't put it in the trash. This is from 2020, so it's not that old. But who it features is one of my favorite artists, and her name is Deborah Marchant DeWitt. Deborah DeWitt Marchant. And I have used her over and over again. Well, she says by Deborah DeWitt, so I guess she's going by DeWitt now. But these pictures, the pages are glossy. They're beautiful pictures, and she has a quotation on them. And then I covered the back with something else instead of the actual calendar. So on the back here is notes, is a notes page. And then again, I did some hand drawing right here. I did a little bit of collaging right here. You know, another quote right here and a place for you to write. This is actually some needlework that I did. It's embroidery, but it's actually on cross stitch or Aida cloth. And then this is an example of the color drawings of H.M. Brock, and it was in 1895. And that's when he and his brother started doing the illustrations for Jane Austen's books. So it was long after she had died, so she didn't have anything to do with the illustrations. But I guess maybe her brother or somebody that was trying to promote her work did it. So, and this is an interesting book here. I have several different illustrations of this book, and the one that I'm actually showing is the one that has her actual writing in it. It's called the Jane Austen, The History of England. And I don't have the actual one that has the pages, but different people have put different, this particular one is made with different, some of the writings that she had. And this book here that that I used for this is actually a book that she made when she was 16 years old. It wasn't supposed to be an official history. It was just from the way Jane Austen felt about the different kings of England, or the history of England, or I think this was the kings of England. And then her sister came in and did the drawings of that. So it was just kind of a fun thing for her to do. So I've put some of those pages in there. I've put some pages for just journaling. This is from, I fully take advantage of the Etsy sellers that have wonderful, beautiful digital kits, of which I will put them in the description box below. But this is one of those, and this is for writing. And then I also found from an Etsy seller from an Instagram seller, she had several jelly prints that she had made into tags, and I took them. They were longer, and I took them and folded them up and made them into a little pocket. But they're just as pretty as they can be. It's kind of a peachy orange coral color, and I put several of those in here and added a quote here. But it's just really, really pretty. And then a lot of times I like to use transparency paper for the pockets. Particularly this particular page here is just where I went and did some collaging on a piece of paper, and then I added a piece of torn fabric that I found. And so I just think that to put a pocket here would be a shame, because it covers up the continuity of the page. So I add transparency. It's called transparency, but actually it's acetate. And so these are some quotes that I have purchased, the quotes from Etsy sellers, the Jane Austen quotes. And this is an actual, I think I got this from public domain. It's a picture of Pride and Prejudice with a T, and just real cute for using in a pocket. This is actually a picture of a tag that was done by one of the brothers. I'm trying to decide if I can tell the difference in the two brothers. And then this is a quote. And so that's Basically, anything in my book is from whatever I find at a thrift store, or I was at a military surplus store today and was able to find about 10 magazines and books. And the more colorful the pictures in the books and magazines, antique magazines, history magazines, I use those to stick in pictures in the books. Here's another side of that, history of England, and the drawings by her sister Cassandra. Her sister was a recreation for fun type artist. She actually also painted a picture of Jane, but it shows that Jane sitting on a hill with her backside, so we're really not sure. Of course, none of that is that we're sure of. But this is a quote from Fanny Price in Mansfield Park. This is a Sense and Sensibility picture, and I added some doodling and some stamping. This particular picture here came from another book that's similar. No, I'm not sure what book that came from. Maybe it came from the same one. But I probably have used 5 different books of Jane Austen's books, and I just have too much of a collection that I need to use, and it's so much fun to figure out which pictures to use where and what kind of a how to decorate it up. This is more of that coffee stained paper. This is a picture of more current day, but so many of the buildings that were in Jane Austen's time are still there in London. So that is that. This is a little paper bookmark, and I'll put that in later. And I used a piece of corrugated board for this. And one of the sellers had an envelope set, and this is one of the envelopes that I used in this particular one. And another very similar. This is an old set of keys, so I put that in there. Put some lace in between and some washi tape down here. So here's the other 2 of those jelly prints that I put. I added folded up to make it into a pocket. This is a piece of fabric here. So just so much fun to make these books and to come up with which picture do I want to use where. This is more from that Deborah DeWitt, and I think this is her photography, and she also painted. But and where I found out about her was when I was working at Barnes & Noble. There was a stationery set, and it was of a woman reading, and it just immediately reminded me of Jane. So of course I've used all that stationery, and you can't get it anymore. And so anything I've been able to find by her, I take advantage of and purchase. And so more using that kind of mulberry-ish paper, and more pictures of that time, that period of time. And Jane Austen her life spanned 3 different periods: the Edwardian, the Georgian, and the Regency. And the Regency stands for interim, and so one king had died, or whatever the history, and then we had another one to come, and that was during the Regent. It was only about 8 years, I think. And then the last one was the Georgian. Just doing some fun art here. Pop-up pocket where you can put something in. These are dried flowers that I've actually attached to this page and did some stamping, more dried flowers, torn fabric strips, These are a couple of sets of stamps or stickers that could be used. And I just love the texture of these shiny sort of pages. And this is a book from, it's called Forever Flowers. And it is pencil colored pictures of wildflowers. And I stuck one of those in there. And then I've got a couple of cards that can be used that have the envelopes with them. Here's another one of a teacup. Tried to make it look like a Jane Austen period. This is a thin flower that I found a stack of, and I dyed some of them orange, dyed some of them purple, and then put some bling in the middle. Another one of Deborah DeWitt's. And then she chose other, she chose to put the quotes in it that so they're not her quotes, they're quotes that she chose to use. Here's a piece of handmade paper that has artwork on it that can be used. It's from Nature's Garden, naturesgardencards.com. And this is a banner that I found somewhere in a book or online. It might have been in the public domain. Some of the black and white pictures of H.M. Brock or his brother, and made my distance between my the distance between the signatures wide so that the book would close more. And these are two little kind of pocket cards that I got from, I know that this is from Tsunami Rose. And then I just drew on a page here, cut it out. And just really enjoy playing with different textures. This is something I got from Wish. It's vellum paper. And there was different pictures of her on the vellum. So I kind of took them and collected them together in a kind of a little notepad sort of a way. These Etsy sellers just have wonderful, and even though I have some scrapbook I do have a lot of scrapbook paper that I have purchased, usually at thrift stores, or have been gifted to me, or a friend will go to a flea market and bring me back some. And so just have been using some scrapbook paper, but really what I enjoy using is the Etsy sellers digital kits. And this is a picture of a woman during that era on a card. And then a Rosa Parks quote stuck up here. And let's see if there's anything. Oh, I went through a period where I had to make teapots. And so I made a little pocket and stuck a little note or something inside the teapot. But it can be used for a tag or to draw on. And then this is actually fabric that is what this pattern was embroidered on the fabric. It was very thick, so it would be like for curtains or for upholstery. And so I cut out around and made them into tags. There was a big piece, so I had plenty to spare to use, for something else. These are more of the quotes from one of the Etsy sellers. Jane Austen is still as popular today as she ever was. And over the years, there have just been all of her 6 books that she wrote, many different editors have come in and put a different covering on the book. And it's very interesting to watch. This came from a scrapbook packet called Dear Jane. And I went through a period where I had to make a bunch of hearts. So I took some raised paper and cut out the hearts and use them on pages. This is an actual journal. The journal paper actually had pictures of the different H.M. Brock drawings, and had a quote. So I stuck that in there. And then the last page here is actually coloring pages. A book that I found had like 50 different coloring pages. And so I have added them because I really can't fit them in there, but it's just a little extra something. This here is where I took to coloring hearts, and I put some it's called it's a type of paint that I put on there. And then here's more hearts, and this is actually a short biography of her, and a picture of where the church that her father was a minister in Steventon, which is where she grew up. And so it has a picture of the church, and it's the church might still be there, but her house is not. Her house is just a big field. But thank you for coming along and watching this. Just really enjoyed the big questions, what to put on this page and how to decorate this page. I've got quite a bit of lace on this book. I put the lace on the page that I glued down. So this is a actual book that I pulled the pages out and have turned into a handmade book, and it has it's very sturdy. So in that case, many of my books I do that with. Others I use file folders that I glue together. So it's just a lot of fun to put together these books. And I appreciate your coming along and watching me as I showed you this book. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.